Most men spend their entire lives chasing something that keeps moving further away. They treat success like it's a wild animal they have to hunt, sprinting after it, exhausting themselves, desperate to catch it before it disappears into the trees. But here's the truth that Napoleon Hill uncovered more than a century ago. The harder you chase success directly, the more it runs. Success, like a shadow, follows the one who walks toward the light, not the one running in circles, trying to catch it. Think about it. Your shadow doesn't appear because you're chasing it. It's there because you're standing in the right place, facing the right direction. Success works exactly the same way. I want you to imagine two men. The first spends his days scrolling through articles on how to get rich quick, watching motivational videos back to back, jumping from one side hustle to another. His bookshelf is full of half-read books. His notebooks are filled with plans he never finished. He's always in motion, but never in progress. The second man is different. He wakes up early, not because someone told him it's the secret to success, but because he's training his mind to control his body. He has one or two core goals, and everything he does is connected to them. He doesn't chase trends. He builds himself. And strangely enough, opportunities seem to find him. People talk about him when he's not in the room. His reputation arrives. Before he does the difference between the two isn't luck. It's identity. Hill once wrote, "Success comes to those who become success conscious." This isn't about wishing or daydreaming. It's about shaping yourself into the kind of person success is drawn to. Chasing success is a symptom of not yet being the man who naturally attracts it. The man who chases is telling the world, "I'm not enough yet. I need something out there to complete me." And the world agrees. The man who builds himself, on the other hand, is saying, "I am already becoming the kind of person success cannot ignore." And the world agrees with that. This is why so many ambitious men burn out. They think they need to network more, hustle harder, and grab every opportunity in sight. But the truth is that most of their energy is leaking out of the holes in their character. They want the crown without becoming the king. They want the victory without becoming the warrior. The first step in stopping the chase is realizing that success is not a target. It's a magnet. And magnets don't chase. They attract. So what does it mean to become the person success can't ignore? It means building such discipline that your habits speak louder than your goals. It means stacking skills so rare that the marketplace seeks you out instead of you begging for attention. It means raising your personal standards so high that mediocrity feels like poison in your veins. Let me tell you a story. In the early days of Andrew Carnegie's empire, there were countless men trying to get his attention, pitching business ideas, asking for partnerships, pleading for a chance. But Carnegie didn't open his doors to the loudest. He opened them to the most prepared, the most consistent, the men who were already creating value without being told. Those men didn't knock on his door asking for success. They were already building it in their own corner of the world, and success came knocking for them. If you want to stop chasing, you must ask yourself a ruthless question. Would I hire me? Would I bet my fortune on me? Would I invest in me? If the answer isn't an instant yes, then you've just found your work. And here's the uncomfortable truth. It's far easier to chase something external than it is to face the work of remaking yourself. That's why most will never do it. They'll keep running, keep exhausting themselves, keep blaming circumstances. But the man who chooses to stop chasing and start becoming, that man changes everything. The moment you shift from pursuing to attracting is the moment the game changes. You'll still work hard, but your energy will be focused inward, on sharpening the blade rather than swinging it wildly at every opportunity that comes your way. You'll move slower in the beginning, but like a train leaving the station, your momentum will become unstoppable. And when success finally appears, it won't be because you hunted it down. It will be because you became the man it was looking for all along. Asterisk, most people misunderstand attraction. They think it's some mystical force, a trick of the universe, where if you just think positively, success will fall into your lap. Napoleon Hill never taught that. What he taught was far more dangerous and far more powerful. He called it a definiteness of purpose. It's not wishful thinking. It's a mental state where your thoughts, actions, and identity lock onto a single direction, so powerfully that the world has no choice but to respond. Think of it like a radio signal. Most men are broadcasting static. They say they want wealth, but their actions are tuned to comfort. They say they want freedom, but they cling to security. They say they want greatness, but they live by the habits of mediocrity. The signal is weak, scattered, impossible for success to detect. Now imagine tuning that signal. Every thought points toward one outcome. Every choice is filtered through one question. Does this move me closer to my mission? Your habits align. Your emotions obey your mind. Your reputation begins to form around your work ethic and your integrity. That's when the signal grows so strong that it can't be ignored. Here, single quotes as the secret no one likes to admit. Success doesn't find you because you want it. It finds you because you've become useful. The man who stops chasing and starts building himself becomes a resource others can't do without. In any marketplace, the most valuable asset is the person who solves the hardest problems and does it with precision. Look at Thomas Edison. People think of him as an inventor, but he was more than that. He was a human magnet for opportunity. Why? Because he had built himself into the kind of man who could take an idea from concept to reality faster than anyone else. Investors, partners, and governments didn't chase Edison because he begged for their attention. They came to him because he was the answer to their problem. This is why Hill wrote, "You are what you think about most of the time." Not because thoughts alone change reality, but because thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs become habits, and habits become your identity. And identity is what attracts or repels success. When you live in chase mode, your subconscious is screaming, "I don't have it yet." That scarcity energy seeps into everything you do. People can smell desperation. Opportunities can too. On the other hand, when you live in becoming mode, your subconscious says, "I am the kind of man who creates it." That's abundance. That's attraction. Here's a truth that will set you free. Success is not out there hiding from you. It's orbiting around people of value, people who have cultivated themselves like rare diamonds. Your job is to become so refined, so sharpened, so intentional, that success has no choice but to fall into your orbit. But let's be honest, this is not a path for the weak. The moment you decide to stop chasing, you strip yourself of excuses. You can no longer blame bad timing or lack of connections. The responsibility falls squarely on you, and that's terrifying for most men. They would rather keep running because chasing gives them the illusion of progress. Think of the farmer. He doesn't chase the harvest. He doesn't run through the fields yelling at the crops to grow faster. He focuses on the soil, the water, the light. He shapes the environment so growth becomes inevitable. That's what becoming the person's success can't ignore looks like. You don't scream for results. You create the conditions where results have no choice but to appear. And the conditions are always built from the inside out. You can dress sharp, drive a luxury car, talk like you've made it, and still repel the very opportunities you want if your internal signal is weak. On the other hand, you can walk into a room with simple clothes and no flashy jewelry. But if your character, discipline, and presence are undeniable, you will own the room. Here's a challenge for you. For the next 30 days, stop chasing. Completely. No begging for attention. No frantic pursuit of every shiny opportunity. Instead, commit to becoming more valuable in one specific area every single day. Learn something new. Refine a skill. Raise a standard. Remove a weakness. Watch what happens when the signal you're broadcasting grows too strong to be ignored. Because here's the final truth for this stage. When you chase, you tell the world that it's in control. When you become, you take the control back. And once you've felt that, you'll never go back to being a man who runs after what he could attract. By standing still and building, you will never outwork a weak identity. You can wake up at 4 a.m., grind 16 hours a day, take no days off, but if deep down you still see yourself as average, the world will treat you that way. This is why chasing success is a trap. It puts all the focus on what you do instead of who you are. Napoleon Hill understood something that modern hustle culture completely misses: the power of self-concept. Your results are not dictated by effort alone. They're dictated by the person you believe yourself to be. You will only allow yourself to have the life that matches your internal identity. If you believe you're worth $50,000 a year, you'll sabotage any opportunity that could make you $500,000. If you see yourself as a man who struggles with discipline, you'll unconsciously create chaos just to confirm that belief. On the other hand, if you see yourself as a builder, a leader, a creator, everything you do will align with that, even when it's hard. This is why the man who becomes valuable stops chasing. He's not acting for approval. He's expressing who he already is. Success doesn't feel like something he's chasing. It feels like the next natural step. Let's get practical. How do you rebuild identity? There are 3 pillars, and if you master them, your presence will become magnetic. 1. The standards you tolerate. Your life right now is a reflection of what you've been willing to tolerate. If you tolerate lateness, you'll always be rushed. If you tolerate excuses, you'll always underperform. If you tolerate low energy, you'll always feel like you're dragging yourself uphill. High-value men are ruthless about standards. They don't let themselves slide on the small stuff, because they know the small stuff is where character is built. If you can't keep your word to yourself about getting out of bed when you said you would, how can you expect to keep your word to others in high-stakes situations? This doesn't mean being a perfectionist. It means being a protector of your own standards. You draw a line and you don't cross it, not for comfort, not for convenience, not for anyone. 2. The skills you master. Skill is the purest form of proof. You can talk a big game, you can brand yourself as driven, but if you can't deliver results, the world will move on without you. Choose skills that are rare, that solve painful problems, and that you can compound over decades. The more valuable the skill, the more you will attract without chasing. Napoleon Hill's own career exploded not because he chased wealthy men for favors, but because he mastered the skill of asking the right questions, organizing ideas, and translating success into principles others could apply. That made him indispensable to people like Andrew Carnegie. And here's the key. Mastery is not sexy. It's repetition. It's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's refining small details until they're flawless. The man who commits to this becomes a magnet for people who need what he can do. And the world is desperate for people who can actually deliver. 3. The energy you radiate. This is the part most men overlook. They work on their resume, their connections, their strategies, but they neglect the single thing that enters the room before they do: their energy. You can't fake energy. It's the sum total of your mindset, health, and self-respect. When you're living in alignment, your energy says, I am in control. People feel it. They may not know why they're drawn to you, but they are. On the flip side, if your energy says, I need something from you, they'll instinctively pull away. Hill understood this when he wrote about applied faith, the inner certainty that radiates outward, convincing others to believe in you because you already believe. In yourself. Now, here's where it gets dangerous, in a good way. Once you begin building identity from these three pillars, you stop chasing by default. You start to notice that opportunities, which once ignored, you are now coming closer. Conversations feel different. People speak about you with respect when you're not in the room. But there's a warning. The moment this shift happens, you'll be tested. The world will send you distractions disguised as opportunities. Invitations that look exciting, but pull you away from your mission. People who flatter you to get you to work on their dream instead of your own. The man who has not built himself will fall for these every time, because deep down, he's still chasing validation. But the man who has built an unshakable identity can say no without hesitation. His focus is not negotiable. Let me tell you about a young man Napoleon Hill once mentored. This man came to Hill complaining that no one would give him a break. He was talented, ambitious, and willing to work, but he couldn't seem to land the right opportunities. Hill told him, "Stop looking for a break. Start becoming the man no one can afford to overlook." For the next year, the young man doubled down on his skills. He built a reputation in his small circle for being the most reliable, sharp, and disciplined man in the room. He stopped asking for chances and started creating results wherever he was. Within 18 months, he had offers coming to him from the very people who had ignored him before. That's the law. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are not. So the question is, who are you becoming? Asterisk, asterisk. If you strip away all the noise, all the trends, all the hacks and shortcuts, there's one truth left. The man you become is built in the hours no one is watching. This is where most men lose, because they treat discipline like a burst of motivation instead of a permanent state. They want to feel ready before they act. They wait for inspiration. But the men who are impossible to ignore, they build themselves on days when they feel nothing but resistance. Napoleon Hill called this persistence, the sustained effort necessary to induce faith and transform desire into reality. But persistence doesn't appear magically. It's engineered into your life through ritual. The difference between a man who chases and a man who attracts is that the first is reacting to life, while the second is programming himself daily to lead it. And you do that by locking in a non-negotiable sequence of habits that align with the man you intend to be. Let's break down the rituals that transform you from invisible to magnetic. 1. The morning lock. In your first 60 minutes, set the tone for the next 16 hours. If you start in chaos, you live in chaos. If you start with intention, you command the day. A high-value man doesn't wake up and scroll through his phone, reacting to the world. He wakes up and creates his own. Here's a pattern you can steal. Movement. Within 5 minutes of waking up, do something that elevates your heart rate. Push-ups, squats, a quick run. This trains your brain to move toward action, not comfort. Mind priming. Read or listen to something that directs your thoughts toward your mission. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich is ideal. It's a mental sharpening stone. Mission reminder. Write down your top 1 to 3 priorities for the day. These aren't tasks. They're mission-critical moves that bring you closer to your goal. When you repeat this enough, it rewires your identity. You stop being a man who tries to get disciplined and become a man who is disciplined. 2. The focus. Blocks. The man who attracts success is a man of focus. Distraction is the enemy of attraction. Every minute you spend reacting to low value. Noise is a minute you're not building your value. Break your work into 90-minute focus blocks. No phone, no social media, no random emails. Just pure, uninterrupted creation, or skill development. Edison famously locked himself in his lab for hours, working without any concept of time. He created an environment where distractions couldn't survive. That's why his output was unmatched. When you live like this, you're sending a message to yourself and to the universe. I am in control of my attention. That's power most men never touch. 3. The skill hour every single day. Dedicate at least one uninterrupted hour to deep skill improvement. Not just maintaining your current level, improving it. This is the hour where you deliberately stretch your abilities beyond what feels comfortable. It's not glamorous. Most of it feels frustrating. But over months and years, it transforms you into the man everyone seeks out. When Carnegie chose partners, he wasn't looking for people with vague ambition. He was looking for craftsmen in their field, men whose skill was so sharp it was impossible to ignore. 4. The integrity check once a day, preferably at night. Ask yourself, did I keep my word to myself today? This is the heartbeat of attraction. If you repeatedly break promises to yourself, your subconscious stops believing you. And if you don't believe you, no one else will. The man who attracts success is a man whose inner and outer worlds are aligned. His word means something, especially to himself. 5. The energy guard. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Protect it with the same intensity you protect your bank account. That means eliminating toxic influences, saying no to draining commitments, and prioritizing health as a non-negotiable. A sharp mind in a weak body is like a race car with a flat tire. Train both daily. Nutrition, sleep, and movement are the foundation of magnetic presence. These rituals are not productivity tips. They are identity architecture. Every time you execute them, you're proving to yourself that you are the man you claim to be. Over weeks and months, this becomes unshakable proof in your subconscious. And once your subconscious believes you, the world will too. Here's the brutal truth. If you can't keep these rituals, you will keep chasing, because without them, you're building on sand. But if you master them, you become inevitable. When you're inevitable, success stops running away and starts looking for you. There comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes the chase has been a lie. He looks back at years of running, years of grinding, years of trying to prove himself to the world, and sees that all along, the world was waiting for him to become. That moment is the turning point. It's when the hunter becomes the king, when the seeker becomes the sought after, when the man who once begged for a seat at the table now owns the table. Napoleon Hill's writings were full of this truth. You cannot have more until you become more. Every man who ever built an empire first built himself. Carnegie, Ford, Edison, none of them spent their days chasing opportunity. They spent their days becoming so valuable, so disciplined, so certain, that opportunity came looking for them. And this is where most men get it wrong. They think stopping the chase means doing less. They imagine that attraction is about sitting back and manifesting without action. But that's not what Hill meant, and it's not what I'm telling you now. When you stop chasing, you don't stop moving. You change how you move. You stop scattering your energy across 100 things that don't matter, and you pour it into becoming the sharpest, most reliable, most dangerous version of yourself. You build a life so aligned with your mission that it becomes impossible for the right people, the right opportunities, the right resources to ignore you. Here's how you'll know you've made the shift. You're less reactive. You no longer jump at every opportunity. You evaluate if it serves your mission. People start coming to you. Without chasing, you notice more inbound calls, messages, and offers. Your reputation precedes you. Others speak about your work before you arrive in the room, and you feel unshakable. The highs don't make you reckless, and the lows don't break you. This shift is not a fluke. It's the direct result of daily rituals, high standards, relentless skill development, and protecting your energy like it's sacred. There is a silent law that governs greatness. What you build in silence will be announced in public. Most men want the announcement without the silence. They want the applause before they've earned the mastery. That's why they chase, because applause is easier to get temporarily than mastery is to earn permanently. But when you commit to the quiet build, something happens. Every day you lay bricks. Every day you sharpen the blade. Every day you become harder to replace. And one day, without warning, the world looks up and realizes you've been there all along, building something it can't live without. Before the breakthrough, there is always a test. The universe will check if you're ready. It will tempt you with distractions, with shortcuts, with offers that appeal to your ego but destroy your mission. If you pass, you step into a level of attraction that is almost unfair. Doors open that you didn't even knock on. Names you once admired start calling you. The chase is over, not because you gave up, but because you won the game by playing it differently. Starting today, stop chasing validation. No more begging for approval or permission. Commit to the rituals. Morning lock-in, focus blocks, skill hour, integrity check, energy guard. Raise your standards. Eliminate every tolerance that keeps you small. Master one rare skill. Become irreplaceable in at least one domain. Protect your energy. No to what drains you, yes to what builds you. If you do this for the next 12 months, you won't recognize your life. You won't be chasing anymore. You'll be too busy leading, building, and attracting. The final question is not, can I get success? The final question is, can I become the kind of man success would be foolish to ignore? Because once you do, the chase is over forever. If these words reached you today, it's because you're ready for this shift. You've chased long enough. It's time to build the man who attracts. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because every day I'm bringing you the mental blueprints Napoleon Hill left behind. This is not motivation. This is construction. This is identity engineering. Listen daily. Apply relentlessly. Build yourself into the man the world cannot ignore. And when that day comes when success finds you, you'll know it's not luck. It's proof. Proof that you became the man worth finding.